Hey, how's it going, folks? So, Jinks made a video on the existential crisis, the illusion of happiness, and I wanted to chime in because he made a lot of good points. And these are things worth hearing. Um, I also wanted to chime in my own 2 cents on this as well. You know, because this is definitely a discussion worth having in this country. And as you can tell, I just recently scrubbed all the grease off me, and I'm pretty tired. I had an easy day today, an easier day than I've had in a long time, but don't worry, the rest of the week's going to pick up on me. So, yeah, I'm pretty much one of those guys that does a lot of going to work. I want to get off work, eat, shower, um, lay down, go to bed, rinse and repeat. Not a lot else until the day off I have um, after my work week, and then sometimes I'm hitting the bottle, sometimes I'm not. I've actually really cut back a significant amount on my drinking compared to how it was last year. So I mean, there is something to be said about what Jinx had mentioned when it comes to just life revolving around work. Um, I mentioned in the comment section there that hey, this last Easter I spent time with relatives. I mean, it's the first time in a long time I think I've seen any of them, mother included. So I got to drive a ways out to see him anyhow. But you know, it was one of those things when I had to leave, I'm sitting there thinking, wow, if only I could stay a bit longer, if I didn't have to leave so soon and prep for work, pretty much. If only, I could do a little bit more to help out physical wise, with the livestock and everything like that. It'd have been a bit better, but I got to save my back for the work week coming up. It's how it's been, But I realized the one time this year that I felt like that, aside from that incident, was when I went out to my property out west. And, it was kind of one of those things that I had to go out there to check on the place, rearrange some stuff, make sure things were nice and organized out there. But, so there was a little bit of business, but not much. And a lot of it was me relaxing. And I thought, wow, I wouldn't mind staying out here a bit longer. So, actually, I did have to pick up my trailer too. Somebody's wanted to borrow that, but that's aside the point, you know. So, what Jenks brings up is that, yeah, at least some of us, do spend a quite significant amount of our time focused on work. And a lot of the times, we end up sacrificing some of the things that do end up, well, making us content. Now, my reason for me staying at my job, working the hours I do, is because it's not the best paying job in the world, but it's definitely above median, you know. And I realize I have expensive hobbies, and I have a lot of living to do when I retire. I want to be able to retire and do pretty much whatever I want to do, be it hop in my truck and take a vacation down to Florida, hit Miami Beach up again, go visit the Everglades or the Keys again, or maybe I want to go to Wyoming or Montana again to visit. Um, I want to be able to do that. I don't want to have to look at my bank account and say, do I really have the funds to do this? It's what it boils down to. So, yeah, I do want to make sure I have the money for that. Now, with this being said, I do agree that there are certain companies that should be hiring more people. Um, they got a lot of business coming in. They're making money hand over fist. And I think they should be hiring people. Very much so. In fact, one of the things that will get me to walk out of a store like that and, not buy anything is when I see a massive line at the store, or the store is massively crowded and it doesn't look like they have enough people in there to adequately staff the store. You know what? I don't like management that does that. And furthermore, um, they're not just hurting their employees, they're not just straining their employees, but you got to think of the strain they're putting on anybody who's trying to service that store, be them a vendor, an electrician, or some sort of maintenance staff. Because I guarantee you, anybody who's servicing the store is probably having to wait until all the customers check out, and that's eating into their time. That's eating into their business. So I don't really have a whole bunch of respect for corporations that pull stunts like that. You know, I mean, and I'll go as far as to say if they're a mom and pop store, you probably should be hiring more people too. Now, I understand also that they are trying. Some places are trying to hire more people. They just either cannot find somebody suitable for the job they need, or maybe nobody wants to take the job, and this is the other edge of that sword, um, which which is probably being discussed. Yeah, unfortunately, there are a lot of people that also do have this entitlement mentality that don't think they should work 40 hours a week and think that we should have social programs there as an alternative, a comfortable alternative to working, as Jinks put it. And Jinks, I mean, we both know people like that exists. I've known plenty of people like that. I've known plenty of people who found every excuse in the book not to get a job. Um, so that's kind of the other edge of this on me, which really annoys the piss out of me on this, because you got to think when you're working, you are making a contribution to society at your job. One of the biggest contributions you can make to society is having a full-time job, an adult job, at fact, where you're working, you're making an income, you're paying your taxes just like everyone else, and you're making it so nobody else has to actually support you. Now, granted, there are always going to be exceptions to the rules. There are people who genuinely have disabilities. There are people who, by the way, have worked themselves so hard that they have disabilities because of the sheer amount of work they did. And I know there's going to be a lot of people who sit there and pretend like they do and don't. I'm talking about the people who were actually genuinely diagnosed with something, though. So, with that being said, there are people who fake it, and there are people who genuinely do have disabilities because they work so hard and they ended up getting injured on the job, or they ended up having a lot of cumulative stress on their body over this. And, I can understand people in that situation getting on disability. I can understand people in that situation having some social help. And it doesn't have to necessarily be a government program. I mean, we could start charities for that, though a lot of people don't want to seem to actually start charities for something like that. It seems like they want to start charities from some other BS cause that's really auxiliary to the pressing issue now. So, yes, we are facing that existential crisis here, and it's a multifaceted crisis. Another thing that got brought up, and this is a point that I've at least thought of and at least run through my head over the years, is in the absence of religion, there is a concern that something will replace this. And, as Jinks pointed out, dogma. And there's been a lot of dogma to replace religion. And this is one of the reasons why I'm personally, even though I'm an atheist, I'm not so quick to attack somebody, for simply having a religion. I'm not so quick to simply attack somebody's faith or try to convince them not to have faith in whatever religious belief they believe in, provided they're not trying to use this religion as a means to control me or other people. I mean, and I guess you could kind of say freedom is my dogma, if you can call it that. Although I don't really necessarily think of it as a dogma myself. I think of it as, hey, as long as you're not harming anybody else, as long as you're not producing any tangible damages to other people, you're fine. You know, unless there's a pressing reason to get you to stop doing what you're doing, I think you should be free to do it. In turn, I expect the same respect given to me. You know what? We only have one life to live. Why can't we do it doing the things that we love? Again, provided the things you love or isn't something like diddling some child or robbing somebody or destroying somebody else's property or just going out and beating the living shit out of them for fun or stuff like that. So I think there's a lot to be said with that as well. However, I do think that there are certain people that, well, they don't have a religious belief, and it probably would have been better had they chose one of the religions as opposed to the dogma they chose. Although, granted, these people may have also been dogmatic in their religion, so I don't know. Maybe that might not, maybe, they're just as well off in whatever dogma they're in, but at least, if it's religious, I mean, we can say, okay, look, you know what, that's your religion, that's not mine. Um, and let's leave it at that. We have a freedom of religion in this country. We don't have a freedom for you to mandate your religion on everyone else. And not really even a freedom, but, people are also free to choose to be of your religion or not to be of your religion. That's not for you to say. So, I think Jinx brought up a very good point in this, and I know that this is been one of the things that's been discussed among several philosophers. So, yeah, I mean, and I can assure you it's been discussed not just in philosophy tables, but amongst friends as well. The other crisis, well, I shouldn't say the other crisis, but the other facet of the crisis is I think that we are, as a nation, on our down, well, I shouldn't say downfall, but downturn. Is it possible that we turn it around and, you know, start heading in a more advanced and more enlightened way, a better way for everyone? I think it's possible, but I think it's going to take a major change, uh, and not just society, but I think it's going to take a major change in many of our institutions as well, private, government, you name it. So I do think that, yeah, there's going to need to be a lot of changes. There's going to be, well, there's going to need to be a lot of changes in the mentality of certain people. Again, earlier in this video, I mentioned to you that I got an easy day today, I think, and I spent a lot of my time working and focused on work. Now, with that being said, one of the things that just absolutely pisses me off to no end is when I hear somebody who made a bad call in life sit there and say, well, I'm working this minimum wage job and I have all this student loan debt, if somebody needs to pay for it. Well, yes, somebody does need to pay for it. The person you had in mind and the person I had in mind are two different people. I have you in mind to have to pay for it, but apparently you think everyone else should. Um, so, yeah, I absolutely despise people like that. People who went and got these worthless college degrees and racked up tens of thousands of dollars of student loan debt, and they expect everyone else to pay it all for them. It's like, dude, if it was a worthwhile degree, you either wouldn't have to ask anybody to pay for it for you because you'd be making the money to eventually pay it off, or B, you're just a greedy asshole, who thinks that, because you got that engineering degree and because, you're making enough money to eventually pay it off and eventually you'll be making a lot more money than I do. You think that, and you still think that you're entitled to expect some of my money pay for your degree? Get the fuck out of here with that bullshit. Um, and the other option is you chose a worthless degree, in which case, dude, told you not to do that. Well, I might have personally not told you to do. I may have not personally told you not to do that, but I'm pretty sure at least somebody by now probably said you need to get something a little bit more substantive, a degree with a little bit more substance to it. Um, Having a college degree simply to have a college degree isn't going to get you a better job. You know, certain exceptions only. A lot of jobs don't require college degrees. A lot of jobs require you to have certain skills, yes. Certain certifications, yes. Um, College degree, no. I mean, so with that being said, college degree, it really is one of those optional things, lest you get into something like engineering, you know, or law or medicine. Then you're going to need that college degree. And okay, that's going to be something you got to stick with. Sorry. But guess what? Eventually, you're going to be making more money than I do. So, I mean, as long as you stick with it and as long as you're not doing some other dumb shit to ruin your life. So, with that being said, yeah, there is that other facet to it. And unfortunately, these people who go out and get that college degree just because they were told they need a college degree to live in life, or, they should have a college education and we'll give you this student loan to pay for this college education. Yes, I mean, obviously, they have been the victims of a scam too. And unfortunately, this scam has been going on so long. I don't know why anybody falls for it still. You know, I learned at a very young age that I don't need a college degree to succeed in life. And even then, I realized that putting myself into debt to get a college degree, or what, you know, is not going to help me out. It's going to be detrimental to my financial conditions. Another trap that people get told, it's another bit of bad advice. And I refer to it as a trap because that's what it is. The whole follow your dreams and the money will follow. Whoever made that up, you know, is either a doing it to troll people, did it, as a practical joke, and that practical joke went a little too far, or B, the person really is a walnut. That's how stupid they are. And I will say the people who follow that advice are even dumber. Look, the fact of the matter is that you are the one that cares about your dreams. Nobody else does. No, nobody else care about your dreams but you. So what should have been doing is trying to follow the money and then using the money to chase your dreams. Well, not all of the money, obviously budget properly, but get a job, earn some money, invest some money, you know, budget your money. You will be able to at least fulfill some of your dreams. You're not going to be able to fulfill them all, obviously, but you'll be able to fulfill some of them. Hell, I know I'm not going to get to fulfill all my dreams. There's going to be several dreams that I go to the grave with unfulfilled. Who side me cares about those dreams? I can't think of too many other people. Well, maybe one or two. Obviously, I have a dream that, my nieces, nephews, stuff like that, that they will continue to grow up in a free country, or at least partially free country. I have dreams that eventually our country will pull itself out of this existential crisis that it's in, and will start becoming a more desirable place to live in again. We're still a desirable place to live in. It's just we've fallen quite a bit. So, with that being said, yes, I do have dreams of that, and I can see other people also having dreams that would happen. But that's a different, type of dream. So, with that being said, yeah, the whole follow your dreams and the money will follow is another lie that people have been told, and a lot of people fell for it. I know people who've fallen for that very mentality. That's not reality. Reality is, in fact, at times cold and harsh. so to speak. And I'm sure many people like, and the goth community agrees. Like the person I'm responding to, Jinks, he's of the goth community. I mean, and the mentality is that reality is often cold and harsh, and that part is true. It is very true. There are good times to be had, very much so. You got to prioritize, you know. And there are ways we can improve life for everybody, but that means everybody contributes, you know. Now, on the whole thing about happiness being a temporary state of mind, I agree, you know, depending on your definition of happiness. I mean, there are several definitions of happiness. It's just one of the reasons why it's annoying to me when somebody sits there and says, well, I have to do this for me. I have to do this to be happy. Because 9 times out of 10, what they're talking about is not something that's going to make them permanently happy. It's going to be a temporary feeling of elation or maybe satisfaction. And it's not true happiness. And in fact, usually, I mean, a lot of the people who are pleading their happiness in that manner are oftentimes doing it as a justification um, to do something either really irresponsible, really fucked up to somebody else, or they're doing it, you know, for a combination of those reasons. You know, and I find people who sit there and say, you know, often that, well, you know, I'm doing this one messed up thing, you know, for me, you know, for happiness, or that one irresponsible thing for me, for my happiness. They're not happy. And then a couple years later, they're talking about how they need help or, you know, financially, or, you know, they're complaining about how life just screwed them over when no, in reality, they really screwed themselves over. So there is the other, I mean, there is that aspect to it as well. But I do agree with Jinx that there are a lot of these corporate heads um, that are also abusing the situation as is. You know, and I mean, I don't know what we can do individually to fix the situation. I don't have a lot of faith in regulations. I mean, as you know, Jenks, you already know. I mean, and I don't have a lot of faith in taxing people and then creating social programs because we've seen what the government's done with it so far. Um, so I don't necessarily have the answer other than, you know, if you're going to do the whole regulation bit, you know, they need to be regulations that are easy to read, little room for any exemption, if any, and they need to be clear and concise. That way, it makes it harder for one of these mega corporations to go to court and obfuscate until the opposing party has spent so much money they can no longer afford to legally fight the battle anymore. Um, Another portion of it, I mean, like would say people with disabilities. I think what would be an awesome idea would be a payroll tax break for any business that hires somebody with a disability, provided they are giving them a job that one is within their limitations and won't most likely exacerbate the physical disability, and two, they're paying them what the job is worth. So, I mean, that would be my proposal on that one. I mean, and there are other things, I mean, we could do to make things better all around. I mean, hey, a payroll tax cut on the proviso that at least half of that money that the business got their payroll tax cut on goes as a pay raise to the employee that they got their payroll tax cut on. That would be another idea. I mean, there are a few ideas, but again, as I say, I'm not quite sure that they're either A, going to work, or B, I'm not quite so sure that they're going to be followed in practice, to the end. I can easily see some multi conglomerate corporation deciding, hey, we're going to report that we gave our employees this pay raise, but we're going to pocket the money ourselves, or they're going to decide, oh, well, we get this payroll tax cut. Well, we're going to keep that, and they can't tell us what to do with it. I can easily see that coming out of some of these multi conglomerate corporations who think that they can just do whatever the hell they want, and unfortunately, I mean, this is where, we're not going to get government officials that are going to have a spine to actually do anything about it. Furthermore, I'm going to be willing to bet that many of these government officials that do have the power to do anything about it would probably have some sort of investment with these conglomerates that would probably inhibit them from doing anything about it. But then again, I don't have all the answers. I just wanted to chime my 2 cents in on this, and I'm rambling now, so I'm going to get off here. I got a few more things I got to do before I crawl into bed and get ready for a bruiser tomorrow. Y'all take her easy out there and have a great day. And by the way, comment section is open.